mit der Akzeptanz der vier Grundfreiheiten und dazu gehört auch die Freizügigkeit der Person. Brexit means Brexit.
Hello and welcome to another Brexitometer brought to you from London on a shiny day in a shiny park. You can tell that things here are moving slowly back to normal, and the way you can tell is that I actually have had a haircut for the first time in 5 months. I actually managed to do it. So that tells you all you need to know about how we're slowly moving out of the lockdown here in the UK, the last of all major European countries, if I must say. The government hasn't really been great in managing the crisis. But as we're slowly moving out of the lockdown, now the political debate here in London is moving into other political issues. Of course, the pandemic is in the background always, but now there's more space to discuss other issues. One of them is, of course, the economic impact of the lockdown. The government has been announcing almost on a daily basis new measures to address the fallout of the pandemic. The Chancellor, the Minister of Finance, so as we say in the UK, Rishi Sunak, he's really the star of the government, and already many people are thinking that he's the possible successor to Boris Johnson. Yes, we have already moved to the discussion of who's gonna come after Boris Johnson. And of course, there's Brexit. Slowly, there's more discussions about Brexit as well. In a sense, I don't have much to report about Brexit because right now negotiations are taking place, but that in itself already is a lot to report. Negotiations are taking place. They're slowly managing to even meet in person, which is really important for Brexit, for a Brexit agreement to finally come about. So, what's the political debate here in the UK? What's the political context as the Brexit process is slowly gearing up? Let's go and catch up with what's going on. One thing that we have seen happening because of the pandemic in the UK, and it could actually be important for Brexit and relations between the EU and the UK down the line, is the importance of the different nations of the United Kingdom. Now, when we think about Brexit and different nations in the United Kingdom, of course, what we think about mostly is Northern Ireland, because for so many years we were used to thinking about Northern Ireland and the border and how important that was for the outcome of the Brexit negotiations. But maybe if you're from Europe and you're looking at the UK, you may want to start getting yourself acquainted with the political situation in the other two nations, Scotland and Wales, because now they're slowly proving that they are becoming important actors in the British political system. We saw that already with the pandemic. Both Scotland and Wales are slowly creating their own approach, and their governments want to have their own distinct profile in how they manage the pandemic. In the beginning, all nations were kind of in tandem, imposing and implementing the lockdown, but now slowly, as the government in Westminster wants to move ahead by loosening up the economy and loosening up the lockdown, you hear voices from Scotland and Wales where actually the situation with the virus is much better, that they want to have more control over decisions about how they're moving forward in the health, on the health front. And that's of course very important, particularly for Scotland, where they have a government, a nationalist government led by Nicola Sturgeon, who really wants to make the point that Scotland is much better at managing the pandemic than the rest of the UK. Now, why does this matter for Brexit? It matters because as the UK is slowly taking over powers that it had given to Brussels, taking back its sovereignty, taking back control as it were, then the question becomes, once those powers are in the UK, where are they going to be exercised? In many ways, the nations think that those powers should not just return to the UK, to Westminster, but they should be offered to them on the local level. And there's already a debate about competition control and creating a common internal British market, where the question is, where should decisions be made about how governments will be helping business? The government in London thinks that this should be, of course, something for it to decide, for Downing Street, for Westminster to decide, but already Scotland and Wales say, hold on a second, even if those decisions were being made in Brussels, now we think that they should be made at the local level in Cardiff and Edinburgh. So something to keep an eye out as we move forward with Brexit and as the EU learns to deal with its new neighbour, the UK. Wales and Scotland are going to be very, very important actors moving forward, important actors in the political system here in the UK, and we have seen that already in the last couple of weeks. The other major piece of political controversy in the UK the last couple of weeks has been about China. Now, of course, China has been a major issue in most European countries and the US nowadays because of the virus and how the virus spread and the response of China to the virus. But in the UK, there has been a more specific issue, namely Huawei. Let's just remember that earlier this year, back in January, the British government had announced that it would allow Huawei to develop its new 5G network. At the time, that was a very surprising announcement because you had a pro-Western, pro-Atlanticist country such as the UK suddenly announcing that it would partner up with China in such a major undertaking. Now, fast forward 4 months and now the government has announced that it is excluding Huawei from its 5G network. Of course, a lot of things happened. The economic crisis has made the UK much more vulnerable, much more reliant on the US. It's hoping to develop a trade deal with the US. And of course, Hong Kong, which is a major issue here in the UK as well, because of sensitivities, obviously, both for British society and the British government. But still, this is really important because it shows the UK reverting back to its pro-Western orientation. Now, why is this important for Europe and why is this important for Brexit? First of all, it shows that all those things that we were listening up until a few months ago, that the UK would be a pirate nation, a buccaneering nation, a country that would look for its national interest, come what may, wherever it could find it, without regard for allies, without regard for partners. This really isn't coming to pass. When it came to a crisis, ultimately the UK sided with the US, sided with the West against China. And that's probably good news for the EU. It shows that probably the foreign policy of Brexit Britain is not going to be as predictable, it's not going to be as aggressive, it's not going to be as adventurous as some advertised it. Down the line, the UK is probably going to be a mainstream pro-Western power, and that means that it will probably be able to be a partner of the EU in foreign policy and strategic matters. But it's also bad news for Europe in a way, because now the UK has taken a clear stand in what appears to be a new Cold War between the US and China. Now the UK has clearly sided with the US. Europe, of course, still is trying to figure out its position. It wants to remain partner with the US, but on the other hand, it still hopes to have some economic benefits from partnering with China. The UK has made a decision, and this only increases the pressure on the EU to at some point take a clear stand as well, where it stands between the Atlantic on the one hand and China on the other. And all of this because the UK decided to exclude Huawei from its 5G network. A major development, and we will see its repercussions down the line once Brexit is completed. So that was another Brexitometer, our first outdoors Brexitometer in 4 months, as the pandemic crisis is slowly coming under some kind of control here in the UK. I never thought I was ever going to say that, but it's actually good to think about Brexit again. Imagine that, that's how bad things were here. There's negotiations ongoing now. It's already July, so we know that there's not going to be an extension. The time for that has passed, so there has to be an agreement by the end of the year. Negotiating teams are now traveling between Brussels and London. This means that there's more pressure on both sides to come up with an agreement fairly soon. So actually we may be having some piece of news on the negotiation front already in the summer. And of course the Brexitometer will be here to give you the latest roundup. Until the next Brexitometer, I hope that all of you are doing fine and will continue doing fine. Enjoy the summer, of course socially distanced, as is the responsible way to do. Feel free to send me your questions on social media using the hashtag Brexitometer. Until next time, take care.
Mit der Akzeptanz der 4 Grundfreiheiten und dazu gehört auch die Freizügigkeit der Personen. Brexit means Brexit.